the starting soon. Totem's gonna kill me. He's gonna be like, "Dang it, Ednar, you had one job to do, and you didn't do it." But I did get the cropping much better on our photos this week, so.
He'll live.
Uh,
What?
okay, so
What was wrong with the cropping before?
Yeah, it's just I didn't. I had the black around the outside, but so we are live.
Cool. I thought you were gonna say that you made it out of proportion.
No. All right, so I'll start the show. And welcome to OWL by the Numbers. This is episode 26. I am not your normal person that is hosting the show. I somehow got put in charge of all these hooligans. My name's Ednar.
All two of us.
All two of you. I don't know, Ramses. You're the biggest hooligan of them all.
I mean, height-wise, yes.
Are you?
I'm 6'4". I think when Bob
You're
and I checked, we met in person. Yeah, dude. When Bob and I met in person, I'm like 4 inches taller than him, I think.
How am I 6'1"?
I'm almost 6'3".
But I'm wrong.
But yeah, you're definitely tall.
I'm like 6'1" and the short person in the group. What is this? That never happens.
Yeah, well, just wait till you stand next to Totem at BlizzCon. You're gonna feel like a giant.
It's gonna be like Lord of the Rings.
You literally I literally one time someone wanted to meet him and I picked him up and just walked him out of the Hyatt outside and set him down.
See, and this is the best part about Totem not being here to yell at us, is we can just say whatever we want about him. But
angry Twitch emotes.
Angry Twitch emotes right at you. All right, so let's introduce ourselves. Let's start with Bob. Bob, how has your week been? How's your fantasy week been? How's all that fun bejazzle going?
Well, I'm doing the whole daily fantasy at fantasyowl.com, and I'm just I don't know, it's been a rough week because I played Twilight in a lot of my teams, and then I also played
Aim God
in a lot of teams. And man, it just having a player that doesn't play really messes you up. And then I also played a lot of DPS that were only getting half of the maps, and that's something we're gonna have to watch really hard going forward.
Yeah, there's definitely certain DPS characters that grow in value even though they're not the best on their team, or the ones who get the most fantasy points on their team, just because the other people are getting switched out for more niche roles. You know, like that Widowmaker player out there who's not getting you the fantasy points is more viable because they're playing all 4 maps. And the other DPS spot is rotating between Pharah, Mei, all that fun jazz. So, that other, loser in the corner of the podcast.
Winner, you mean? The other winner in the corner is the person who...
Winner on paper, loser in our hearts. Yeah.
Excuse me, Ed, does the Ramses number 1 is the winner of the Owl by the Numbers host league for Sunday's games? Does that ring a bell for you?
You beat 3 people.
You were one of them. That's all that matters.
Okay, I'm just saying you beat 3 people. That's.
See, my new goal right now with fantasy is I want to do the best. Sure, that's everybody's goal. But my specific goal is just to beat Ed as many times as I can before the season's over. We have 4 weeks.
Bad goal.
We got 4 weeks of fantasy play unless Foul does some more stuff with playoffs. We got 4 weeks left. I want to get as many wins over Ed as I can. This is a hollow dream because I say this. I know it's not going to happen probably for the rest of the year, but I'm doing all right. Enjoying daily fantasy a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot of learning, and it really does make you watch the games because there's just all these different subs and strats that we didn't really see coming at all. Mm-hmm. Last week, if you had told me, I was adamant that Mangachu was going to be a starting player all 4 maps for Toronto.
He was one of the people I played too.
Same. They put him in for one map, the map they won, and then they took him out for the rest of the game. for Houston, if you told me that they weren't in a 2-2-2 meta, they weren't going to put Linkser in for an entire game, that would be my mind would have been blown. Side note, that's because there was a sub issue.
And if they would have told you that Jake could play McCree at a high level, you would have been like, yeah, right.
Yeah, they could have told you that Dante was only supposed to play 2 maps instead of 3. Oh wait, that was right.
I do love that. Like the entire comment chain of that was Dante had said like, yeah, I was only supposed to play either the first map or I think he was only supposed to play either the first or second map. But then the next map, there was a miscommunication and Houston forgot to sub him out. But he still did well enough that they were like, just keep him in. And then next map, we're like, well, Sombra's still broken, so like whatever, just keep him in.
Mm-hmm.
So
we do have Foul in Twitch chat right now, and
Hi, Foul.
the guy who came up with the fantasy OWL. Hey, yay! He is confirming playoff matches are absolutely happening. So we have more than 4 more weeks. Okay, yes.
Twice. Twice!
You beat me in the same league, in 2 leagues with the same teams.
That's how daily fantasy is. We all put in our same teams across all of our leagues.
Yeah, so we'll move on from that. We'll talk more about fantasy when we start breaking it down in like the main part of our show, because I definitely want to start talking more about the niche picks in the 2-2-2 meta. But let's go over some news that does have a little bit of fantasy value out there, and that is the Hanzo Spark. And the shenanigans that were pulled with Crystal. So
Shenanigans? What do you mean?
So
you mean the rightfully and just thing that the Spark gave us?
At first, yes. The follow-up after...
I don't feel bad for this kid not showing up to work at all. And not calling. I mean, like, can I call my job and be like, hey,
okay,
not coming in today?
I'm fine with that.
Transparency is always good. I don't care if they talk shit or they say it nice.
Yeah, hey, Ed, what happened?
To know everything.
So what happened is after the match, the Hanzo Sparks send out a losing tweet saying, first week of Stage 4, bad luck never came alone. And then they had checkmark, match lost. Checkmark, Crystal or DPS missed the scrims. Checkmark,
I love this shade.
No, that's...
He should feel bad. He should feel extremely bad.
That's public shaming.
Yes, and I'm cool with it.
You're fine with public shaming. So if your boss publicly shamed you to the entire company, you'd be like, yeah, that's fine. I deserve it.
If I didn't call for a week after I was supposed to be back, I'd expect to be fired. I would welcome getting shamed. And then the best part is when they first put the first tweet out, instead of calling them, he just answered the tweet. Mm-hmm. Like, how I don't want to be mean, but how just lost is this kid, man?
Well,
I have no idea.
So there's certain details that need to be broken down. Like, number one is they granted him a 10-day leave request in order to go home for a family medical emergency. So that we do know. We know that since the emergency, he has not he's not communicated at all to the Spark or to anybody else that, hey, like, can I extend my leave? He just was gone. We know, like, from what I've read, it's a cesspool and it's awful, but like Reddit seems to think that they like have like audio of him playing like Apex Legends and playing games online with people, like that he's like around. I agree that
didn't you say on Push the Point that you read some place that he's done this before?
That's what it seems to be like. That seems to be the rumor I'm hearing, is that he's pulled stuff like this before. And I agree with your sentiment, Bob, that like if you pull a fast one like this, like it should be made known. Excuse me. I think there's just a cultural difference here where this idea of like publicly shaming someone like that may not be as bad of a thing in like Eastern culture, like as far as Eastern like social media and everything. But here it's the idea like you're tainting the pool for that guy when he tries to sign somewhere else. In fact, like you taint
what they're trying to do. I think. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's a very respectful culture. It's not like lots of the culture here in the U.S. where, you know, like it's like if you do something like that at work, like you shame not only you but your family too. And I just think it's hilarious their Twitter account though. You talked about it on Push the Point, but they need to stop using Google Translator
Well,
to
it's
put out
like
tweets.
get an actual like. It's very clear that like whoever runs their social media, either English is not their second language, is not their first language, which for sure it's a Chinese team. Why would that be? But like, it seems really weird that they don't want to go with a fully professional English translated tweet. Like they go through this weird like filter of it, like you said, Google Translate. This whole like bad luck came and never like bad luck never came alone. Like
Well, okay.
I think I get
So,
what that
like,
means.
So like I've had Korean and Chinese comments on my YouTube channel, right? And I copy and paste them and put them into Google Translator, and they oftentimes don't make any sense to me. Like it must be some sort of gamer slang over there, and I just don't get it. But like it feels like they're putting it into Google Translator and putting it out.
Now, I think it's safe for all of us to say that we aren't expecting Crystal from a fantasy perspective to be playing much this stage. Let's just
No.
go out on a limb there. So we can basically write Crystal off at this point. But who you cannot write off are two-way players for the Hanzo Spark. Because they did bring No Smite and Bazzy back to the team full-time. And we even saw No Smite this week. Much to the chagrin of everyone who picked Gushue owners. You know, so we definitely will start probably to see them because I know Bazzi is more known for
his Widow.
Yeah, his Widow play. So we could definitely see them. Well, we already saw No Smite. I'm almost putting a lot of the Spark players on in the same ladder basket as the Soul Dynasty.
I think the only person I would feel like 100% comfortable with starting, the only two would probably be Bebe and Rhea.
Bebe was benched for a game.
Really?
Yep.
Jeez. Like, okay, everything's in the Rhea basket then.
Yeah, it's basically Rhea, and I mean at this point probably Godspeed.
The minor thing to note with Crystal, of course, this is his in the Twitter post he did responding to him being called out instead of just talking to Hangzhou. He did say that like there's a lot of potential for visa issues. I understand that. You should like part of it's like you got to figure that out before you go on a 10-day leave. Like you don't forget that you're playing Overwatch in America on a Chinese team. Like you don't forget all of that. That doesn't slip your mind. Visa issues could come up, but like the whole reason in the first place that we're having this sort of issue is because there's just a lack of communication.
Exactly. So let's go on to that's really all the news we have because the signings are basically all but done with. There might be some secret ones that just haven't been announced that have no effect on anything, but they haven't been announced. But what we can talk about fantasy-wise is the first week impact of the 2-2-2 and the evolving meta. So, Bob, why don't you take us over what we kind of saw this week and what we're seeing from all these teams.
We saw a whole new world. Sorry, I can't ever stop myself when the opportunity arrives to that. But here, I'm going to pull up omnicmeta.com. And basically, I just wanted to kind of go over some of the changes to the meta, because I can tell you right off the bat that
hit me with that Brig stat. Brig stat.
Reinhardt went from 30% picked to 0.9% picked. Brigitte went from 57% to 7, dropping down 50%. Here, let's just sort it by change so that we can just really look over this. So Orisa went up 39%. So she was played 65% of the time. Mei went up 36, up to 40% played. Mei is the number one played DPS, followed by Hanzo at 34. Widow at 35. And then the next most played was Sombra at 30, but then the next after that was Reaper at 13.9%. And Lucio dropped 33%, was being played 65, a jump of 32. I mean, the meta has just flopped on its head. One thing I thought was interesting, Pharah, that was being played 33% of the time, dropped 28 down to 5.
I mean, with the double sniper coming in, I think fares are definitely few and far between because they can. I mean, Widowmaker is quite a good counter to a Pharah. You still saw
Depending
Ding.
on the map, yeah.
Yeah, you still saw Ding a lot on Pharah, but yeah, you definitely saw a huge decrease in Pharah play, which actually is unfortunate because I kind of like Pharah play.
I like it in the Overwatch League, not in my ranked games where everybody seems to think you need double hit scan to take her out. Then both of your DPS are looking in the air and get capped on the ground.
And they both still missed the Pharah anyway.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I can take out that Pharah with my Hanzo perfectly. I'm just going to keep staring up at her. And that's not going to go well.
Something we're seeing is that we're getting back into the days where, at least for me, when I'm making picks, if I'm going to pick a DPS, I'm way more interested in if they are the hard carry for their team.
Or just the projectile DPS, too.
And that's what I mean specifically.
Who's not coming out.
Because there's we finally got to see the fantasy prevalence of Erster this week. When Erster went off, Prophet's back in the lineup, back in the state where he's just going to get monster points every week.
Another player that messed me up, Baby Bay.
Yeah. At the minute they put Enlar, and I'm like, oh, so this is what we're going to look forward to with Baby Bay. So it's
tier.
Those are the
but
players.
I was happy for Enlar to get back on, though.
That's the thing is that we're getting in the spot where those kinds of players, your projectile carry players, are going to be so much more valuable, and they're going to cost you so much more. So people who you used to be able to get really good deals on, like Nero specifically, is who comes to mind for me, are going to be a lot more expensive as their stock rose this week.
Yeah, I can even speak to this for certain. Nero is a top 5 DPS for Thursday.
Well, his buy rate went up by a lot.
I think he's $19 this week, which the highest is Ding at $22.
He's 19 when he was 9 last week.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Nero definitely popped up there. You saw the rise of a lot of the DPS players. So I mean, how long do you think it is before we get a better grasp of how the meta is going to work out and how our fantasy picks are going to work out?
I think we give it one more week, because the thing that the trap we keep falling into every single stage is that, okay, it's super different at the very beginning of the stage, brand new meta, this is awesome. And then as we hit weeks 2 and 3, it starts to settle in. We start to kind of go to a more dominant comp. I think we're going to get into May being pretty prevalent. And then your hit scan is going to flash, your hit scan or even your projectile, depending on who you're running, is going to flash around to different heroes based off of their own ability, and then also what the map is. I could see Vancouver still running the May, but just also having Haksal and Genji this whole time, because why wouldn't you?
Understatement of the stage. Why not just put Haksal on Genji and watch him go to town?
I think you're gonna
so much fun watching, though.
I think you're gonna see a lot of the May with a partner, or we were talking about before, double sniper.
Will May, because May was really brought into prevalence to kind of put a kibosh on the whole hog, the pulled pork.
Not even just that, though. Something else you have to realize is May is also good with the hog Orisa combo, because she can, once a hook comes in, she can wall off. I think Labasco made that point on push.
Yeah, you isolate.
Push the point. And also May just with her wall, you could just use it, and Clockwork Vendetta does this a lot. You could just use it to block enemy sight, so they don't know if you're going right or left on certain maps. You know, like it's an extremely powerful tool.
Yeah, and I mean, even I want to say that some teams are probably scared off a little of actually even doing Roadhog as the second tank, because we did see Diva played more than Roadhog. So Diva was the number one off tank in of this past week. So you
Yeah.
did see some of that kind of stuff. So you know, I don't know. It's like if Roadhog, let's say, falls in the like this is something we could see. If Roadhog falls in the meta, will May fall in the meta too? If we're not seeing Roadhog, it's one of those, and I
Well,
don't think we've seen
but-
have enough test games to see what it's
You
actually.
do
gonna
have
be.
to. So, Roadhog was picked 46.9% of the time this week, up 25%. But Diva was actually picked 51.2, up 6.8. So Diva was actually played more this week than the last week in stage 3.
So,
It definitely feels like there are certain teams who just aren't confident in their off tank as a Roadhog player. And we
I'm
saw
wondering
that,
if it's the same thing. Yeah.
like we saw that with Houston at the beginning, where like I love Cool Matt, but Cool Matt like is way more known for his Diva than his Roadhog. So when you get stuck with a Diva in a situation where like the Matrix doesn't stop the hook, you just go yank the Diva, they're done. So we're seeing teams who like are trying to figure out what that Roadhog rotation is. I mean, like Shanghai did it with both Envy and Giguri. Teams are still figuring it out. I think the teams that have very solid, like standout Roadhog players are teams like San Francisco. I think Janu for Vancouver. Like those are ones that you're gonna feel really confident in because they're just always going to be eating up damage.
Something I'm curious of that I didn't look into hardcore that you guys might know. What type of points were the Mays getting? Like, is it a boon if you play a May player, or is
it's
it bad?
the one
It's
thing.
not great.
It's not great, but no one truly played May the entire time. They played in specific scenarios, but like somebody wasn't on May for the entire map. They'd play it the first 2 points, then switch, or something like that. So it's a very skewed stat. But I was telling Bob this before you joined the call today, Ramses. Is like I knew May was going to be coming into the meta. I didn't know she'd be coming in this much.
I don't think most of us listening to a lot of podcasts and YouTubes of analysts over the last couple days. I don't think anybody thought it, and I would love to see somebody show me something time marked where they called it. Like I'm pretty sure if you weren't inside the league, you weren't guessing that was going to happen.
Yeah, like I first heard about it on Plat Chat, which is basically all casters, and they were talking about like the new two. This was right after 222 was announced, and they're like, literally, what we're being told is, whoever has the best May is going to be the best team.
Yeah, and see, they have insider
like-
information, you know.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, is this actual information or is this scrim talk? Like, you just don't know, but it turns out to be true. It's like May is, played a lot. So I really think I want to, because there's no May player that I was just like, oh my god, that May play was amazing. They're the best May in the league, because I don't think I was keeping as close of an eye out on May play as I was.
I feel like I remember them starting to throw that around, but I don't remember who they said it about. I think it might be Rascal because
That's
Rascal
like a
is Rascal.
default
Wait,
choice.
Was it Sideshow saying he could possibly become the best May player in the Overwatch League?
He was the best player in the Overwatch League for a while because he was the only one who would play May. Like,
No.
remember season 1 London?
I'm just saying that's what Sideshow always said. He might be one of the best Lucios in the Overwatch League. That's his favorite line.
I sit on the payload.
But all right, so from the 2-2 meta, 2-2-2 meta, that came out, we definitely saw some swings in, DPS players, tank players, and supports. Like, did you guys notice any big swings, not in specific players, but in positions that really went up or down?
Off tanks actually went up to where we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. I know that there were several off tanks, ones that aren't even top tier, ones that scored. And again, this is using the fantasy Overwatch League settings, but they I know Finzi and Elsa both on different days scored almost 250 points or over 250 points each.
And I'm assuming it's usually the off tanks that were playing
Roadhog,
because Roadhog gets the heals, he gets damage, he gets elims, like he just gets a lot of stats.
Yeah, we saw the rise of the off tank, which I think everyone thought was going to happen at the beginning of the season. Like when
Roadhog's kind of like your receiving running back that gets a lot of receptions in a PPR league.
Exactly. Like they are the Elvin Kamuras.
Yep.
Of
the Dexter McClusters.
Dexter McCluster.
He's not a running back.
Time.
He's not a running back.
He was season one. He was season
one. He was classified as both on ESPN.com fantasy.
You know what?
It was RB / wide receiver. And I could play him at either spot.
He was a running back in Madden. Yeah,
oh yes, because Madden is the most accurate thing in the world.
Hey, Devin Hester's 103 speed was nothing to joke with.
I also did notice an uptick in flex supports. Because over stage 3. So in stage 3, we saw the flex support really kind of just play pure Ana. And pure Ana is not a good fantasy scoring flex support. But now we're seeing more. I mean, let's be real.
Are you seeing it more on Baptiste players?
We're seeing it more Baptiste players because they can get more healing and damage output combined, and really kind of pump that out there. And when they're not on Baptiste, they're going to Zenyatta a lot of the times, or you're having the Anas and the Mercies, or because like your top 4 healers are your Ana, Mercy, and then Baptiste and Zenyatta.
Yeah, and I might point out Zenyatta only dropped to 24%, down 3% from the week prior. So Zen's still got a fair amount of play.
Yeah, we even saw a really decent amount of Moira play even. And Moira...
we saw quite a bit, yeah.
And Moira, in my opinion, is... Like, if Moira becomes, like, meta, she's going to be a fantasy god. Too.
Yeah, because, like, basically, Moira went 4.3 up to 18.5, up 14.2%. So everything is just changed.
If you have somebody who plays solely Moira this stage, if somebody ends up being that person, they're going to be the ones to draft every single time, because they're going to get so... I mean, look at the free-for-all death matches. Moira steals every single kill possible. They're not pumping up the most damage, but they're getting damage, they're getting heals, and they're sniping kills. So they're getting all the important fantasy stats. So I think Moira really is going to step up if she becomes meta. What did you guys notice any trends with DPS players?
So the ones that stayed on May for, I would say, maybe 2/3 of a map did go down, or they didn't score as highly as like players who were on like your Genjis, your Sombras even, or like on your pure DPS.
Well, but hit scans. Did we see anybody who actually got to stay in the majority of the time to see if hit scans even worth it? Like, I'm trying to think, like, most of the teams swapped out
Jake's points last week. Like,
yeah, Jake. Well, but Jake didn't play. Jake played a lot of May too, and like Jake played Junkrat and Jake played McCree. But like, they even sat DM, like, and like they Hureg played the entire time. What did he score?
Oh, hooray! Let me bring that
He
up.
popped off. I don't know what he scored, but like
Give me one
the guy
second,
was
I'm gonna take a
ridiculous.
look.
Oh, Totem says Soon also played played the full time. So I just wonder if they're even if Hitscan is even close to Projectile, even if they play the entire time. I'm just curious because you get so much less damage on like a Widow.
I think it's a team by team basis though, just because. Granted, I hope you're not in the position where you're going to start Logix, but between Logix, Mangachu, and Ivy right now, Logix is the one they're keeping in for all 4 maps,
Yeah.
even though he is their hit scan player.
And Hureg
What
dropped
did he get,
120 points.
120.
Not
So
bad.
that's still not even close to what the
Hacksaw
really
did.
good, like the really good
But-
project.
Haxel played Florida and got blade up every 30 seconds. I mean, it's a little different.
But also you got to think like for this week. So let's see, what did Haxel score this week? He had 193.
Yeah, almost
Okay.
A
200.
billion.
So his cost right now this week is 23 points.
Mhm.
Hureg is 13. Yeah, 13 points. So you're basically cutting it. And you can get 2 Huregs, and then you know what I mean. Like that's what you really got to look at is Hureg. Heskel's like, okay, if I want to splurge, I'm going to take a Haxel. But these Hureg players right now are the ones that you really want to try and snatch up. Like the people who started Finzi this week for some unforeseen reason.
He's been getting points all year, dude.
He's not a go-to off tank. If you were talking about off tanks this past week, where you're like, you know who's going to be the biggest stud of the week? Finzi.
I
When-
said,
And
go
that
back
comes where
and
you.
look. Don't at me.
Well, that comes where you really got to start playing the matchups for the day you have if you're playing daily. Just because, I think in that situation it was like, all right, well, I can take Fury. Oh crap! Who else can I grab? If anything, like I think Finzi had a pretty high buy rate last week too. I have to check that.
Can I point out though, like how much I love daily compared to the regular model? I mean, it's so much fun. I've wasted so much time on them, and I'm just having a blast. And I'm never soured if something goes wrong with the API or, like it was a bummer this week that, like, a lot of my big picks didn't play, but I just learned a lesson that I need to diversify more, and like try out different things. But it was just a blast.
Yeah. Totem's actually chiming in chat because he can't just stay away from us. He's talking about soon, but he's talking Carpe. Carpe's back in form too. But no, back to your point, Bob. I completely
Fusion
agree.
lost twice. I'm so confused about Fusion right now.
I mean, a win or loss in the fantasy world.
Well, it
I
doesn't
don't
matter.
give two
definitely.
craps about a
Fusion-
win or loss.
I think Fusion's going to end up being what we thought Houston was going to be at the beginning of the season.
They
We're
are
like,
who we
yes,
thought they were. Anyone?
we're like, yes, they're going to lose. Oh, I know. I know.
But yeah,
Dick Meal.
Did Philly come in with the mindset of screw it, we're already done? Had
I
they
don't
thrown
think
in the
so.
towel before they even started?
Not at all. I think really they're turning into what Houston we thought Houston was going to be, where yes, they're going to lose the majority of their games, but their players are going to put up high stats.
Well, I mean, if we want to talk conspiracy theories, though, like Fusion has not looked happy on stage together in a long time, and they don't seem like they're talking to each other as much. Like there might be some dissent there in the ranks, but
Well, realistically, do you hate Sato, or do you just have the nagging feeling that everyone from Fusion Uni is going to come up and take your job within like 3 months?
dude, Sato is so
Convergence.
mean. So mean, dude. One of the most uncomfortable interviews I have ever done. I didn't even put him in any of our videos that we put out for the Atlanta homestand because he was literally like, no, I'm mad because we didn't win. And he was just like looking away the entire time. It was the weirdest, most uncomfortable thing ever. Carpe was awesome. He was super cool, spoke English. But like a few of the other players were awesome, but Sato just seemed like a jerk.
Yeah, and I mean we do have a really important matchup coming that is probably going to be a big fantasy matchup this week.
And besides
Philly
fantasy,
and Houston.
It's going to determine which one of them goes to the playoffs, most likely.
Yeah, well, I don't care about that in the fantasy world. I
Well,
care more
you
about if they go to
if
map
you want
5.
to play in playoffs.
Well, yeah, but if we're doing daily, I don't care if it's Philly or Houston in the playoffs.
True.
But like, I fully expect
Playoffs?
them playoffs.
Playoffs?
I fully expect them to do like a map 5 this week. So Philly versus Houston could be a really good, like, you pick your Carpe, you pick your surefire starters in that one. So
EQO is an easy start right there. I mean,
Well, what did he score? Because I felt like he had a bad week.
I thought he did well, but I could be wrong.
Here, I know I had him on a couple teams.
yeah, why don't you take a peek while
He's number 7 overall for this week's buy sheet.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
He's 21 points.
Yeah. So he's putting out numbers. It's just, do they try and change it up? That's the thing. Yeah. So Totem, thank you, Totem. 140, 173. So he had a good week. But it kind of brings us to our next point about the roll lock is teams experimenting with substitutions. Like, we may think, okay, Carpe and EQO are going to be out there. Are they? Like, let's be real. Who coming into this past week, were any of you saying, Twilight's getting benched? No.
No, although they were playing Florida,
Well,
so if
help
you
me
told
out,
me he
though.
got benched, I wouldn't have been surprised. But
Who
we were
else do
expecting
they
him to
have?
play. Repel.
Oh.
Yeah, and I mean, the Fusion literally just traded for a DPS player.
I could
DPS
see
slash
Kip come
Roadhog.
in. I mean, how do you feel if you're if you owned Happy or if you owned like Rio or Hoppa, and then for the last map of Boston, like Guangzhou stomping Boston, they just switch almost all the entire team out. You lose a whole map worth of points.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, it sucks too, because like that was when they freed Fraggy, like, and you're all excited, but then
I'm
at the same time, you're like,
free,
"That
I guess.
fools me." I mean, it's the same thing that happens in blowouts in the NFL. Your guy gets sat. You're like, oh my God, he's doing so good. He's doing so good. And then your guy gets sat because there's no reason to continue to play him once you're blown out that far. So that's why you oftentimes don't want to pick blowouts as your players.
I did want to make a quick mention to say that I'm surprised about this. A couple weeks ago, I know we were talking about who we thought was going to really, really fall off. And a prediction from Ed that I 100% believed in. Jinmu is the top highest buy for Fantasy Overwatch League right now. He is $22. Jinmu is, at least this week, granted they didn't play, well, Philly's a good team, but like, but like, they didn't play crazy teams, but like Jinmu came out and popped off, got a lot of points.
Wait, that is skewed. Because they did do 2 Map 5 series.
Well, that's the same with EQO now that I'm thinking about it. They lost 3-2 in both of their matches, so so EQO got an extra map twice.
Yeah.
But that's something to keep in mind with Chengdu, is that Chengdu is a team that's going to go to a lot of map 5s.
Yeah. Like,
You don't want to rely on it, but it's a very likely possibility if it's a team that's at their skill level.
Mm-hmm. I'm still not putting Jinmu on the highest of pedestals on the thresholds, but he did perform pretty well. I think the Hunters, as a whole, surprised more than anyone. Like, with how well they performed, because people thought them and the Dragons, I think, were the 2 teams I heard the most that were going to have the most fall off from doing the roll lock, and then lo and behold, the Hunters go 2-0.
Yeah, I never said the Dragons were going to fall off.
The thing is the Dragons were.
But some people did.
Yeah, the Dragons were best when they could run triple DPS, and when you
but
can't
they
run
ran the
triple,
hog a ton too, though.
Yeah.
You gotta remember that it wasn't always triple DPS; it was often hog.
Yeah.
You expected like a slight a slight decline, not like a huge like falling
And
multiple spots, but like
And I do think they've had a slight decline,
Yep.
but slight.
Slight. And Totem actually in chat actually brought up what is going to be my biggest surprise for the week is the Guangzhou Charge.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Like I expected
Not
that maybe
the Charge, Nero. Totem said Nero.
Well, he said Nero,
I
but
agree with. I was
Charge
thinking
as a
Charge
whole-
was going to look great.
I did not expect
but
them
I was
to look this
banking
good.
on happy.
they
I
beat
was-
Shanghai before Shanghai went
I
into the
didn't
playoffs.
even-
Like,
Yeah, well, they beat them when I was in Atlanta. That was the game everybody left. Like, it was right after the Atlanta game, and literally it went from being a full house to like 10 people in the entire auditorium. And then we're all at the after party, and we hear that they won, and we're like, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
But I didn't know Nero was going to be that good. I knew Happy was going to turn heads, but I didn't know Nero
click
had
heads,
that
not
in it.
turn heads, but
Turn heads, and click heads, but I meant turn heads.
They
looking for you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Totem again with Steely. They are. I wouldn't put them top 6, but like they're a top 8 team. They're a playoff team. Now it might be too little, too late. They'll probably still get in, but it's not.
They're
guaranteed.
playing their schedule's pretty hard from what I remember.
Yeah, but I could definitely see the Charge sneaking in, and doing some damage because they're scary. Like, I mean, they are Nero and Happy when they go into the double sniper right now are like scary, like Carpe and EQO were last year. Type of scary to me.
Nero to
Okay,
me,
so-
when you look at his point total, seems like he's going to be a pretty consistent like 130, 150 DPS, like 130, 150 points.
Mm-hmm.
Where they have him on the Mei occasionally, but he's still getting those long range dinks. He doesn't
Right.
play Mei as much as like other players do.
Real quick, the Guangzhou Charge have 5 remaining games: London, Hangzhou, Seoul, New York, and Dallas.
Hmm
I think Spark and Dallas. Well, it just depends on if Crystal's back, really. But I mean, if Crystal's not back by August 2nd, then I think they're going to take Spark, and Seoul just looks weird. I think London and New York are their only
Mm-hmm.
like rough games left,
Yeah.
unless Dallas gets it together by the end of the stage.
Unless the Zach Carey finally comes out of his cocoon.
No, just play Taimu. And I hate saying that because that means you have to bench AKM, but play Taimu.
Actually,
What if you
know
play
what?
Taimu and AKM?
No, here's the
Double,
thing.
like double scan though.
No,
really?
no. I actually brought this up on Heroes Never Die, and I heard a crazy strategy, and it actually worked. Like, in my mind, it works. You bring in Taimu as a tank.
Yeah, Roadhog only.
Roadhog.
You bring in, so you have him and Note. Note plays Orisa, Taimu plays Roadhog, and then if you want to go, dive, then
Yeah, I
you get
think that's a
Taimu
little
on.
too much.
But
I
if
think
they
Trill
need
or
to,
OGE. You're talking if they need to change.
in the middle of the map, they can switch to dive, and Taimu can go Winston and Note obviously to Diva. Now it's not ideal, but it's something like it. You have your plan A, and then you have your plan B. I don't know.
say you just go ahead now, but see the only problem is though, is I'm talking about Taimu on the DPS. Like I love AKM, I love Zach. They are not the hard carry that Taimu can be when he's popping off on DPS, and like he could probably pop off on Hog. So I kind of like your idea if they just stick to Orisa Hog and they just run it hardcore.
I think the big question with Fuel is who's going to be their main. Like, we keep thinking snipers, but really we should be like, well, who's going to be their main player?
I have every confidence that AKM or Zachary could play it fine.
I think I've seen AKM and Taimu both run the Mei before.
Okay. So, before we move on to our picks for this week, actually, no, we'll go over the pick'ems for this week. So, let's go move on to that before we get into the by the numbers listener league, host league, and all that stuff. So Ramses, why don't you take us through some of the pick'ems that we're going to go through this week?
All right, so going through our highlighted matches for each day of competition. Long way of saying a really easy thing. So Thursday's matchup, we just talked about the Guangzhou Charge versus the London Spitfire. So Guangzhou is getting momentum and they're a team on the rise. I definitely think that there is a high possibility that they actually do generate a lot of fantasy points if Profit doesn't kill all of them as soon as they step foot on the map. Because that's the whole thing, is like, I feel like Guangzhou could have a chance, but this is Profit we're talking about. Like, Profit's the guy who's solo carrying an entire team sometimes. The guy, as long as Profit's on there, I have a very hard time picking Guangzhou.
I mean, Guangzhou is definitely going to be the sleeper pick of the week, I think. And in my pick'ems, I'm probably going to go with the Charge on this one. Just because, honestly, there's no rhyme or reason behind it. Sometimes you just have that feeling that, like, this could be an upset. And, you know, if I consider the Charge the Charge are a top 8 team, and the Spitfire a top 6 team, is it really that big of an upset? If the Charge beat the Spitfire, I would have
meta.
In this meta, they're fairly close.
Yeah, I honestly, after the showing from last week, you asked me this a week earlier, I would have said London hands down. Now, one thing about London is I have not seen any Orisa play even close to like the
Gesture.
Yeah, Gesture's his thought process on how he, like most Orisas pick a point, bunker. Like Gesture will shoot those shields across the map to assist a fight that he can't get to quickly. And I mean, and his holts are out of this world good. Now, but the only thing is, I don't think the DPS core, I think the DPS core right now on London is Profit. And I don't think that Bird Ring is looking exceptional. And they've started to bring Guard back in too, who I've never really thought was all that amazing. So right now, Happy and Nero are killing it on the Charge. So it just kind of depends.
Yeah.
If like a lot of the reason that London beat the fuel is so badly is because of the Holtz, dude. The Holtz used in so many different combos were amazing. So it's kind of like, for me, it's kind of Gesture and Profit versus Happy and Nero.
Yeah. The other thing is that I'm kind of brings me down on London is their second DPS, like you're talking about. It's like, if they have Guard in there, well, what are they going to do? You know exactly what they're going to be running if they have Guard.
Always looking for a backdoor.
Yep.
Boop.
So we're done with phrasing?
Been here all along.
So phrasing we're done with. Okay. But so like if Guard's in, you can try and counter the Sombra. That's all you have to do. And I don't think Guard is effective. You can't really be a one-trick Sombra in a DPS meta. Because it is so easily counterable. Because really we haven't seen Guard on really anything else. And when they want to play something or someone who has more flexibility, they just bring in their other DPS player. So I don't really love that. I don't like what they're doing with their main healer either. Like, are they going Nuss? Are they going Quartermain? Are they going Nuss? Are they going Quartermain? Like, I just... Now, they had been going with Nuss, and it's just... I don't know. They're wishy-washy. So, that's mine. But let's be real. It's a coin flip, I think, in this game.
I can definitely see that. Next game coming up would be one that I am already losing sleep over. Houston Outlaws on Friday versus the Philadelphia Fusion. It's tough.
Houston takes it.
I want to say Houston takes it, but it's the kind of thing where Houston's carry, like, we don't know what Houston is going to do because Houston doesn't know what Houston's going to do. And while it worked out for them this week against LA, I think if they come in like similarly disorganized, I think it bites them in the butt. I think realistically, the off tank is still a weak position for them. Spree looks better on Roadhog than Cool Matt does.
I would definitely agree that their off take is definitely a weak spot.
Yep.
That's my thing. Is that it's gonna really depend on how well. It's gonna really depend on how well they can make EQO and Carpe be less of a problem.
Yeah. Shocker. I also picked the Outlaws on this one.
Did you hear it, Twitch chat? Ednar loves the Outlaws.
Yes, I picked the Outlaws. I think they're going to come through because the thing is when it's less about Houston and more about Fusion just look defeated. They just
And they have for stage 2 and stage 3.
exactly like they just when you see them you can just tell that there's something's wrong. Like it's just they want this season to be over with and they want to get there the quickest way possible.
Well, I mean, when Poco goes on Twitter and goes, "Oh, I thought we were gonna win," it's like, "LOL, never mind, we suck," and it's like, all right, like,
He
and this
didn't
from a
do
guy who
anybody
doesn't
any favors with that mustache.
with the Freddie Mercury stash. When can I foul? When can I draft Poco's mustache as a playable character or player?
No. I will say this I think this matchup is the must win for Houston of the season to get into the playoffs. Like
Foul says, "Why do you think Poco's price went up so much?"
well, he shaved it off. So it must have it should have gone down.
Match.
Yeah, so now it
I
needs
agree
to
with
get
you.
dropped.
This is Houston's-
and like this is probably a must win because Atlanta Reign is who they play after, which has been looking good. Then they play London, then they play the Washington Justice, who might just be a Titan by the time they get to that game, and then they play the Chengdu Hunters. So this is definitely a must win.
Yeah,
and because they messed around and lost to Florida in stage 3, now they have to win pretty much everything. I think to even be in.
They don't need to win everything, but here's the thing: they have to outplay the LA Valiant and probably Atlanta Reign, and Chengdu Hunters to get in from here on out. And I don't even know if that will be enough because they have such bad map differentials.
I definitely think this is going to be one of the higher scoring games back and forth this week.
Yes.
Well, speaking of the Atlanta Reign, do you think Atlanta Reign beats the Paris Eternal? Paris soon's back. What do you think?
Erster never left. Erster's too good on Hanzo is a thing. Like, Erster's too good.
Soon.
I still think Atlanta wins this one, but I like what I've seen from Paris.
Paris looks better.
Yep.
Paris looks a lot better.
Now that they can actually play DPS.
Atlanta's just a lot more explosive.
Paris also did the switch of the main tank. I'm assuming because Ben Best probably is mainly Reinhardt. But who'd they switch to?
Cloudy.
LH Cloudy. Yeah.
LH Cloudy, thank you.
Yep. And then Finzi, who destroyed it fantasy-wise. But, I mean, fantasy-wise, Paris put out some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So don't sleep on them.
Finzi's still a decent start.
And then, Ramses, what about our last game? Our Sunday game of the week. Not game of the week, but the most exciting game of the day.
Most exciting game for Sunday, in our opinion at least, is the Chengdu Hunters versus the New York Excelsior. Because New York, to me right now, it feels like they're super dumb analogy, but follow me. It seems like you're going on like a homemade go-kart down a hill and you're you're holding all the parts in as much as you can because you're trying to make sure you don't fall apart before you cross the finish line.
Yeah, New York is so confusing to me right now, and it's weird because they got a great record, but like they just don't, and even getting that record throughout stage 1, 2, and 3, like stages 1 and 2, they were rocky wins. Like, it wasn't until stage 3 with the Sombra Ghosts that they were starting to dominate again. But I don't know, man. New York is really wonky for me.
Yeah, which is weird because New York was at their best when they were running 2-2-2 naturally. Like when they were
New York.
when they were running dive, they were dominant.
Start spreading the news. NYXL's not
Start
as good
spreading
anymore.
the DPS rotation. At this point,
Time to put in pine. Yes, the
Realistically,
York.
I guess what watching this game is going to be is really just seeing if New York is going to start sandbagging now, or like
The
No,
joke
there's-
is dead, Ramses.
there's
the
no-
joke is dead. The meme is dead.
no, they can't sandbag it because there's no stage playoffs.
true. I just
You're right, dude. You're right. They can't.
They can't sandbag it yet. So
They-
I mean, I think we all kind of agree that New York is going to win this one.
New York should win. That doesn't mean they will. Just because we've seen Chengdu play up to their opponents, when they play top tier people, they also play down to their opponents when they play bottom tier people, and that's a whole issue Chengdu has. I think I could see it going neck and neck with how good Jinmu was this last week. So
Yeah, I mean, fantasy-wise, I think they put out good numbers because I don't think it's going to be a 4-0. So
No.
I expect some good fantasy numbers to come out of this one as well.
I mean, I feel like it's going to be a map 5. Like, just judging from New York and what they like to do, I feel like it's going to be a map 5, and it's going to be a lot of points on both sides. It's just, is this the week New York decides they're going to play Pine?
Mhm.
So who are you going to play? Like, do you really want to? I mean, who is safe on New York to play?
Jonek?
Mano, and Meko,
What about
and
Libero?
yeah, Libero. I think Libero's safe. Is he?
And Jonak's safe.
Well, both their support players are safe, and both their tanks are safe because I don't think they really even have backups for them. And if they do, I don't even know what the hell their names are. Like,
I mean, Nene is technically the backup for Meko.
yeah. So, yeah, I just the DPS thing is the one that really screws it up. And Owl Foul in chat says this match is why you see the overall Chengdu Hunter price level increase. Could be a 5-map barn burner. Like, it really could. But all I know is we're going to see Wrecking Ball, we're going to see Farah, and we're going to see Jonak. Like, those are the it's life, death, and Jonak are the 3 things that happen in your life. So, let's move on to our last thing, and we want to talk about the By the Numbers Listener League and Host League. Before I start talking about the Listener League, Ramses.
Woo!
We are the champions.
So-
no time for Edna, 'cause Ramsey's the champion.
I expect this song next week, Bob, when I win. So Ramses took first place because, let's be real, he had a decent team, but he is the only one out of the 4 of us who didn't have somebody who didn't play. You
True.
did it.
That's true.
You did.
but
like
that
that's
doesn't
fantasy.
matter.
That is fantasy.
Yep.
So
Well
it's
played,
not an
Ramses.
excuse. If anyone wasn't playing, it wouldn't have been Twilight in my mind, but it screwed literally 75% of people
Yeah,
out there.
one of the 5 MVP candidates, the only one that I felt comfortable with voting for.
Right? So
Like,
Ramses came out there and he had Haxel, God mode.
I would like to thank Hacksaw for the win this week.
God mode. You had Jinmu, who put up like almost 150 points, which is good. Fate, who didn't play every map, only dropped 48 points.
So Fate was my pick in there just because I was trying to figure out
You
who else
needed
I
to
could
fit
put
in
in.
points.
Yeah,
But then you also nailed it with Elsa. Elsa
Yeah.
from the Chengdu Hunters. We didn't know what was going to happen with the flex tank for Chengdu. And
especially when
How
the
did you even-
when the flex tank spent a lot of time playing Torbjorn the whole
yeah,
season.
how did you even know to do that? Like, did you just shoot fish at a bear? Like, did you just like click something? Like, close your eyes and click it? Like, cause how? Like, why did you play him?
I've had Elsa on the radar with other fantasy stuff for the rest of the season, for the past bit of the season, but I've never felt comfortable enough putting him up there. And then just looking at what matchups were going on that day, I know I heard also somewhere, I don't know if I heard it from like a caster. I heard it from somebody's bit of analysis that like, yeah, Elsa's really consistent right now. Like Elsa's doing a lot of work out there. So he's
Who's
somebody who
your
I've always had.
contact?
I don't know.
Who's
I
your
don't remember
source?
who.
Who's your
Yeah.
source in the league? Don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Her name
I
rhymes
have
with
plenty of sources. I would
her name rhymes with Bell.
All right, and then you
Never name your sources, Ramses.
Yeah,
Never
and then-
name your sources. That was a test.
Yeah. And then you started Badoshin and Kyle. So two good supports there. So you had a good
Yeah.
week.
Only because I couldn't afford Twilight, so I would have been in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah, because like we had, like I finished under 100 points behind you, and I had a 0-point healer, and well, I can't say everyone didn't start. Someone who had 0, Totem had 6 starters, and he came in 3rd place. His team was not good, but he had 2 players who only played 1 map. So he had Jinmu Diem, who surprised everyone by only playing 1 map. And then same with Envy. Envy, like on Thursday, I think it was, scored 160 points, and then 50 points on Sunday. And then he started Fury, Badoshin, and Kyle. And then Bob, bringing up the rear, went with Logix, Ding, Gods, Fury, Badoshin, and then Twilight.
Yeah,
Again, that
Logic.
Twilight one just screwed you.
Yeah, and Logix wasn't the best pick either. I was just kind of trying.
He's a
The
flyer.
reason I had Logix in there is because he cost almost nothing. So he was like well, I'll put him in there, see, you know what I mean?
You know who I actually almost went with, and I know this was sorry, Foul. This was an error on the website. Was on Sunday, Izayaki was 0 points, but Izayaki played all 4 maps for their first game over Luffy, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, Izayaki's 0 points for a flex support. I'm like, how can do I want to take this risk? And thank God I didn't, because Izayaki did not play.
Speaking of risks, if you're looking at players, it's really important to go back and see, like, because there's like the average score they have as one of their stats.
Yep.
Go back and see what their scores have been for the past couple of weeks, because we're forgetting that a lot of people have these crazy high scores from when they were in a GOATS meta.
Yep.
So Fate had like a really high buy point. He wasn't the highest, but he was like 19.
Yep.
But it's because he had 1 week where I think when they played Atlanta, where even though they lost, he still like was solo carrying that team and getting a bunch of points.
Yep. So all you need to do, and I learned this today, thank you again, Foul, is when you're picking your lineup, if you click on the player's name, it will bring up their player card, which will bring up all their previous maps, for like last 10 or so maps broken down by stage. So you can see what they actually scored for that stage. So definitely go check that out and use that to your advantage, because I did not, because I obviously lost to Ramses.
Woo!
Hey, by the way,
Oh, I will point out though, you guys, who was it? Was it you and Ramses, and then Heebie Jeebie from the Foul Play podcast? You guys almost won a set of headphones.
yeah, on
We almost
Saturday,
did.
we killed it on Saturday. Saturday was a good day. I think I actually beat you on Saturday, Ramses.
Yeah. No, I only won Sunday.
Yeah, Heebie Jeebie was like 2.
I was
and
3.
You were 3, and then Ramses was 4, and then just someone who was on the site, someone we don't know, 1.
Yeah, because they had Space
Congrats.
and Finzi. And both of them scored over 230 points.
Whew.
Yeah. So, but more importantly, the Overwatch OWL by the numbers listener league with the first place prize of the jersey, the third jersey, has been finalized. We did wait a few days because there was an API issue with Blizzard, but we went through and we know who won. Fowl actually went through and watched the final map and tallied it up by hand, and it didn't affect the outcome. So, Gatau is our winner of the third jersey. Fowl will be reaching out to you to set that all up. He had a first place point of 958 points. He was 38 points ahead of second place, which was Sicolas. But Gatau started Haxel, obviously. I think you would have to have Haxel. Jinmu. And then went with Fury and Janu. Janu had 191 points. And then went Bedoshin and Kyle.
See, just looking through here, I'm just trying to realize, like, how did he afford, like, Fury and Janu and Bedoshin and Haxel?
Kyle...
He did, obviously, but
Kyle was pretty cheap. So was Jinmu. Coming into this week, the
Haxel
Hunters...
had to be pretty cheap, too, because he was just basically in brig jail prior.
Yeah. Yeah, like... This first week was wonky because you'll get more normalized scores, which we saw this week, for this upcoming week. But Gratz Gatau, for the win. Enjoy the jersey. I'll see you this Sunday. You are the person to beat now, despite Ramses thinking that he's going to be the person to beat. He's not.
I am the person who beat Ednar, so.
Yes, you beat me, but you didn't win the BTN listener league. So
hey, one goal was accomplished. That's 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Yeah. So our listener league does return this Sunday. Our host league will be this Thursday. We're doing our own 4-person private host league every Thursday, or every once a week on different days. But our listener league will be every Sunday. That's something we have on file, so definitely come over there. And then I want to ask you guys one final going away question. Give me one sleeper fantasy pick.
I'm trying right now, but it's kind of like it's messing with the API has been a little bit interesting. And it's also based on like what the matchups are each day.
No, I'm just saying, give me someone who you think at DPS who could surprise this week. I'm not talking for points. I'm not talking for any specific matchups. Who could surprise this week?
I'm going to feel like such a homer here. I think Jake.
Okay.
I think Jake could put up a lot of points, especially if Houston does the smart thing and keeps him in the entire time. Jake's kind of a boomer bust guy where he'll either put in like a lot of points or he'll hit you with like 70 points, and that's it.
I'm going to go with a homer pick too, just to keep the theme going. I say Taimu. I say Arrow has learned his lesson. I say Taimu gets at least one full game this week and has a chance to really shock and awe. Or if you really want to look at a sleeper, just watch and see if Crystal gets back by game time.
Okay.
What about you, Ed?
So my sleepers is kind of on the reverse of what Bob said about Crystal. I was thinking Bazzi. A deep sleeper because he could be brought in to be the Widow specialist. So we have that. But my main sleeper is actually on the Toronto Defiant. Not a DPS player, and not a tank. I'm going with Aid. Aid has proven that he is going to be playing all 4 maps. Not pumping out crazy good numbers, but I think there's
Aid
something...
was pumping out crazy good numbers in stage 1.
He was, but on stage 1, correct me, he was playing Flex. Because Neko was out suspended. Yep. I can't remember. He destroyed his phone. He just Tom Brady'd the hell out of it. And, but Aid is someone I saw him running a little bit of Moira. There were certain maps where he was leading the team in healing and was third in damage done. So like he is definitely somebody to keep an eye out. And I know for a fact on Thursday he's only $9. So he could be a cheap option for support. Who's gonna play? So let's throw that out there. But you guys got any closing thoughts on this first week of the 222 in fantasy?
I'm enjoying it. You go.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say I'm enjoying it. It's kind of the climate that we were expecting a couple months ago, and it's a lot more like variable because it's not everybody's playing the same heroes every single week, so we know what to expect every single time they come out in the field. It's a lot more variety. It makes it a lot more complex when you're picking players.
Yep. So let's get to the first. Hold
on.
Oh.
Got my closing thought.
Oh, closing thought from Bob.
Ednar, all I have to say is it's been a ducking awesome week.
I'm okay if you swear. Because I'm not the one who has to edit out the F-bombs.
Yeah, but I just used what my iPhone autocorrects it as when I'm texting. It was ducking awesome.
Well, see, you just need to swear more on your phone, and it won't autocorrect it.
I've tried.
Okay.
No, it just keeps autocorrecting. Ducking is the word, and it still has the same meaning. It's been awesome. Mm-hmm. And for all you people that said 222 would bring less variety, well, you were just wrong.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more, Bob. This past week at Overwatch League was amazing. I was one of the people that was semi-skeptical on 222. I
was too before. It wasn't until mid-stage 1 that I think the video that pushed me over, and I've heard a lot of people, like PvPX said it on Omnic Lab, like the video that cemented me being on board was Monte Cristo's 222 video that came out a few months back. It really gave a lot of history of League of Legends, and I mean, it was just a great 30-minute video that really just laid it out. And that was the one that finally changed my mind personally, because I was not for it for a long time.
Yeah. So, all right, we will close out the show here. Ramses, why don't you tell us what's the best way that people can support the show?
So the best way you can help out the show is by leaving us a review on your podcast platform of choice. I'm an iTunes guy myself, but you might use something else completely different that we've never even heard of. Regardless, the best thing you can do is leave us a review on your podcast platform. It helps us. It increases the weight. Well, I'm all full of marbles today. It makes it easier for people to find us on the platform, makes us more visible. We come up more quickly, and it makes it easier for other Overwatch or Overwatch League fans to actually find the show. Not to mention, it gives us constructive criticism that we can take, incorporate into the show, and always use to make a better product for you guys.
Words are hard for Ramses tonight.
And only
a little bit.
Only 5 stars work. Like if you try to click something else, it doesn't work. So make sure it's a 5-star. It's the only way that we ever see it.
That smirk doesn't come across in an audio format.
No. Why did you have to say there was a smirk? I thought it was 100% legit.
Yeah. No, these are facts, guys. We just let you know how things work.
Yeah. This is not a fantasy Overwatch League podcast. This is we're teaching you real life scenario podcast.
Using Overwatch as a metaphorical tool.
Yes. So we do have a way that you can reach everything, see all the podcasts. Bob, actually, I'm going to throw it to you. How can they see all these podcasts?
Well, it's super easy. You just go There's something called Overwatch Recall. You can find it on the OWL site, which is owlnshow.com/Al Recall, or just go to owlnshow.com and click on the top link. You can find several different Overwatch League, and Path to Pro podcasts over there. Also, episodic listings are released every Sunday night. So please follow at OW Recall on Twitter so that you can be informed. Also, if there's any content creators related to Overwatch at all, whether you podcast, whether you YouTube, whether you just stream, contact us and let us know. We would love to interview you and learn more about you and let others know more. So get in touch.
Fantastic. So you can support our show even further than giving us 5-star reviews, because that is all that actually counts. We do have a Patreon.
Give us money.
Yeah, well,
Money.
yes, we do have a Patreon.
Money.
If you would like to show
Those things
some,
in life are free,
except,
but you can give them to the birds and bees. I need money.
so if you would like to show some additional support to our network of Overwatch shows, consider pledging via Patreon. So tiers start at just $1 a month, and more information can be found over at patreon.com/OWL Network. You too can join the likes of our master and above patrons, Sir Blazing Bob,
Blessed be his name.
Brandon, Josabal, Owl, and Kesha, in helping our network grow. And it's going down. It's going timber. You better move. You better run.
No, I'm not singing that one.
Ed refuses to say the word dance.
No, that was for Kesha. So
I know. That's how the song goes.
So you can contact our show through email at contact@OWLNshow, on Twitter, and that's at OWL by the numbers. We do have a new, updated, fancy new website, OWLNshow.com, where we are basically posting articles daily, posting news, doing all that fun stuff. So definitely go check it out. I know Totem has been spending a lot of time on it.
I actually randomly checked it out today and reached out to Totem to help me, with some advice on creating my own website, because I was like, oh, this is really good. Because I hadn't looked at it for a long time, and I just happened to look today because I was thinking about it. And I was like, oh, man, this looks great.
Yeah, you want to know the scary thing? He gave me permission to post stuff on the website.
Ooh.
That is pretty scary.
Oh, it's going down.
Is it going? Are you yelling timber at the same time?
I am yelling timber at the same time. So you can also go over to our YouTube channel to see any of our fun videos at youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We are presently live on Discord at discord.me/OWLNshow, and streaming presently on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLNshow. We are Twitch affiliates, so come help support the show by subscribing to our channel, using that free Amazon Prime subscribership, and earn our network emoticon. Our podcast network does stream pretty regularly, so Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific, we have the Overwatch League Network, which features Totem and Spider. On Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, we have this show, OWL by the Numbers, which airs at 6 p.m. Pacific. And then on Wednesdays, we have Heroes Never Die at 5 p.m. Pacific, that show that me and Totem do together. And then host streams. Oh, what? I didn't do it.
Oh, sorry. I tried to wait till you're done with this segment, but you just said Overwatch League Network is just Totem and Spider?
Overwatch League Network?
Did I miss an episode where they let Slambo go?
Slambo hasn't been on. Slambo had stepped away like a couple, 2 months ago.
Oh my gosh, I must have missed the episode where they said bye.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm gonna have to figure out which one that is.
The Void finally claimed him.
The Void finally claimed Slambo.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. So, and then host streams, when available, run on a flex schedule. Usually Monday nights, me and Totem stream shenanigans before Overwatch League Network, and then Thursdays, Spider usually streams sometime at Thursday. So definitely check out our Twitter and Discords for that. I already went over the Patreon. That's patreon.com/OWL Network. Random question of the day, thought of the day. When jogging, we put on special clothes so people don't think we're running from someone.
Is
Think
that a
about
question?
it. No, it's a random statement of the day.
Well, okay. If you're jogging, you're not running from somebody.
Yeah, but if
You're
you
running. You're running.
But
Right.
if you just
running.
if
You're
you
going
just
full
saw
speed.
somebody in like jeans, work shoes, and a thing like and a nice shirt running, you'd be like, "What the hell are they running from? Are they
You said-
running from someone? What's
You're
going
changing
on?"
it now, though. You're changing it now. You said jogging.
When jogging,
jogging,
we put on
If I
special
see him in
clothes.
any clothes, jogging's fine. When
The
I see
argument would
anyone
be-
running at top speed, then maybe you have a point.
The special clothes are easier to actually jog in. Is the other reason why.
No,
I have an
like-
interesting question for you, Ed. Why
Okay.
do we drive on a parkway and park on a driveway?
Because we're communists? Because for the same reason we don't use the metric system?
The obviously superior system.
Yes.
Why do we in this country put the month first, then the day, then the year, instead of the day first, the month, then the year, like the rest of the world does it?
Oh yeah, that's stupid. I hate that. If you drop an Oreo on the floor, you can still safely eat 2/3 of the Oreo.
No, you eat the whole thing.
But, well, it depends on what's on the floor.
Nope.
no.
That's
There'd
it.
have to
I'm
be some
dropping.
really
I am.
nasty stuff
at
on the floor for
BlizzCon,
me not
we-
to eat an Oreo.
I'm gonna put this to the test at BlizzCon this year. I'm just
You
gonna
gonna
walk
call
around
it
with
bluff?
Oreos.
I'm willing to let it go.
All right.
No, just wipe it off. We're good.
Oh, all right. So you can reach me Edinar on Twitter, and that's at Edinar Overwatch. And I do stream very rarely, but every once in a while, WoW and Overwatch, and that's Edinar OW on Twitch. Ramses, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Ramses_OW. You can find the show that I do with the Bosco, Push the Point, as Bob said a couple times. Thank you, Bob. Blessed be his name. You can find us at Pushpoint Pod. So Pushpoint POD, like the best rock band from San Diego of all time. That isn't Blink-182. Payable on Death. Here Comes the Boom. Youth of the Nation. The hits write themselves, but so Pushpoint POD, Ramses_OW.
We're gonna ignore the POD references from tonight. All I gotta say is Hoobastank POD. Enough said.
Oh.
Yeah, I would rate
How much
Hoobastank.
energy? Okay, maybe. Okay, whatever. Who was staying at POD, whatever. Stained like way lower.
Well,
than that.
yeah, no, that's a given. But Bob, where can they find you?
Well, the lead singer of POD is actually from my town that I grew up in. But if you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. If you want to check out any of my other bad content.
It's not bad content.
It's bad, dude. It's bad.
It's bad to the bone. No. Bad to the bone.
No.
All right. I'm ending the stream at this point because you know
Bad to
what?
the bone.
We should start getting weird at this point. Everyone have yourself a wonderful night.
Do.